Hey, so the Muay Khao Summit just finished. It was really intense. It was really amazing, and it's very difficult to choose favorite elements of it. One, because there are so many, but two, because there was just so much good in it and that came out of it that it's hard to even digest, like, all of it being one thing. It feels like it was many stages of progression. But I'm going to tell you about two of my favorite things that have happened with the Muay Khao Summit. The first one is much shorter. The morning after our fights, it's tradition for me after a fight to walk Jaidi in the mornings. So I get up at like 5 or 6 a.m. and bring him up to the waterfall, or walk him around the lake where Andy used to take us. So I asked Khao whether she thought she was going to be sleeping very well after her fight, and she said after her last one she hadn't. So neither of us were sleeping. She and I walked Jaidi around the lake the morning after our fight, so she got to join me in that tradition, which was really awesome. I really like Khao. And as we were walking, there were these dogs barking and chasing after us, like totally up on Jaidi's butt, like, get out of here, this is not your area. And I find this really good for Jaidi. It's like mental stimulation in addition to physical stimulation, because he's not a very socialized dog, so he gets really excited when there are lots of dogs barking at him. He doesn't get nervous, he thinks everyone's his friend. So we're walking, and this one dog just will not stop. Like, we walked probably a quarter of a mile, and this dog just stayed on our asses, barking at us, being like, get out of here, blah blah blah. And Khao turned around and looked at this dog that had been following us for so long, and looks at me and she goes, that one's Muay Khao. It's like, how awesome to apply the, like, heart of a Muay Khao fighter to the tenacity of this dog telling us to get the fuck out of there. It's very funny. The second story that I really love that came out of the Muay Khao Summit is that if you think of Krunu, like, he knows that I go around and train with these legends of Muay Thai. He knows that I do this for my work, and I don't think he really sees the videos, but I talk about them, and he knows that I know them. But by having the Muay Khao Summit at my gym at Petrungrung, he basically had legends of Muay Thai, one after another, and sometimes 4 at a time, walking through his kitchen, through his home, to his gym to teach the Muay Khao Summit. So it's kind of hard to describe how amazing that is, because I know how awesome Diesel Noi and Nam Kabuan and Karahat and Lang Swan, Samson are. I know, but I didn't grow up with them. So it's like knowing Muhammad Ali was a legend, but not having seen him be a legend at the time that he was, if that makes sense. So Krunu grew up when these guys were legends, when they were on TV as legends, like as active, amazing fighters. So for them to come to his home is a very different experience. For him to know them is a very different experience than my experience of knowing them. So this morning, we're in the car, and we're driving back from the run, and Krunu's complaining about one of our fighters at the gym, and he's saying that he thinks that, like, once you're great, you don't have to work hard anymore, that you, like, reach this point in your capacity where you don't have to work hard anymore. And he's like, this is so bullshit, and you think you can drink on the weekends and not have it affect your body and blah blah blah. And as he's talking about this, he's like, Diesel Noi says, and then he's like quoting something Diesel Noi was talking to him about in terms of how even at the top of your game, when you're the best you've ever been, you have to work hard, you have to stay hungry, because someone who's also hungry is coming after you. This is one of the coolest things ever, to have Pinu be talking about, like, Diesel Noi says, from a conversation he literally had with them, probably sitting in his own living room. It was so cool. And it was stuff totally that Diesel Noi would say. It's, like, very accurate. And he's talking about the heart of a Muay Khao fighter, really. And a third thing that I didn't even think of until just now that was really cool that came out of the summit is that because we're all loosely, we're all women, we're all not men, taking over the gym to train after the regular training was done. And these people who came to the Muay Khao Summit worked so hard and trained so hard, and Krunu was so impressed, and his dad was really impressed, and the pad holders were really impressed, and the legends were really impressed, and they all talked about how strong all these Farang women were. And Krunu kind of had this thing where he's like, they're like outworking my fighters. It's like, huh, women, like, this is pretty badass. And that's the Muay Khao ethic. So for him to be complaining about his fighters thinking that, like, oh, well, now I'm good and I don't have to work hard, or like, oh, I'm only going to party on the weekends and I'll still be fine, it's not going to affect my body. He's talking about in contrast to a group of women who are training at his gym, at least 3 of whom are moms. We're not all super young. I think the youngest one of us was JoJo's, like 21 years old. The oldest of us, 45, 46. Amazing. It's incredible. The influence that these women had on a very traditional gym and a very traditional practice, just sharing that space with these legends is like, there's nothing like that. There's nothing like that. It's really amazing. And I think that Krunu has thought that I'm a little bit of an anomaly for a really long time, because I'm the only woman at the gym, and definitely the only Farang woman. So like, whatever he sees in me and whatever he sees out of me and how hard I work and the things that I do, he's like, oh, well, that's Sylvie. But for me to bring my, like, multiplied gremlin friends, and we're all like this, like, we're all really intense, I think was a really impactful experience for him. So, 1, that dog is Muay Khao. 2, Krunu getting to be like Diesel Noise says, talking about this conversation he had. And 3, just the intensity of the women who came. I don't know. It's incredible. There's not words for it, but there's like 12 to 13 hours of footage for it that we're going to be putting together. So thank you everyone who came to the Muay Khao Summit and worked so hard. And I'm stoked on it. Lots of stuff coming out of it forever. It's very cool.